The invoice in my email made my hands shake. $52,000 for Brooks Family Celebration, Premium Event Package. Charged to my business credit card, yesterday, while I was sleeping in the guest room of my childhood home, believing my family finally wanted to celebrate me for once. But let me start from the beginning, because this story isn't just about money. It's about how the people who should protect you can become your greatest predators, and how sometimes the only way to save yourself is to burn it all down. Before I tell you what happened at that family reunion, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. And hit that subscribe button if you've ever been the family success story who everyone expects to fix their problems. My name is Zoe Brooks, and I'm 28 years old. For most of my life, I was invisible in my own family. I wasn't the baby like my sister Ava, now 22, who could cry her way out of any trouble. I wasn't charming like Daniel, 25, who could sweet-talk our parents into anything. And I wasn't the golden boy athlete like Noah, 24, who got a standing ovation just for showing up to family dinner. I was just Zoe, the quiet one, the responsible one, the one who never needed anything. Zoe will figure it out became my parents' favorite phrase. Zoe will walk home from school because we forgot to pick her up. Zoe will make her own lunch because we ran out of grocery money buying Ava's dance costumes. Zoe will skip the school trip because Noah needs new football gear. I learned early that love in our house was conditional, and the condition was simple: don't be a burden. So the first became the opposite. I became the solution to everyone else's problems. When I was 16, I got a job at the local diner to pay for my own school supplies while my siblings got everything handed to them. While Ava was at cheerleading practice, I was washing dishes. While Daniel was playing video games, I was studying for scholarship exams. While Noah was at football camp, I was working double shifts to save for college. Why can't you be more like Zoe? My mother would occasionally tell my siblings when they complained about chores. She never asks for anything. But they missed the point entirely. I didn't ask for anything because I'd learned that asking meant being disappointed. It was easier to just do everything myself. The day I got accepted to Northwestern University with a full academic scholarship, I ran home with the letter, bursting with excitement. Finally, something that would make them proud. Finally, proof that the invisible daughter was worth something. My parents were in the kitchen arguing about bills. Ava was crying about some boy drama. Daniel was yelling about needing money for a concert. Noah was complaining that his car needed repairs. I stood in the middle of the chaos holding my acceptance letter, and nobody even looked at me. "Mom, Dad," I said louder. "I got into Northwestern, full scholarship." My mother glanced up from the bills. "That's nice, honey." "Zoe, while you're here, can you grab your babysitting money? Ava needs new shoes for homecoming." That night, I cried myself to sleep clutching that letter. The next morning, I quietly started planning my escape. College was my salvation. For the first time in my life, I was around people who noticed my intelligence, my work ethic, my potential. I double majored in business and computer science, graduating summa cum laude while working 3 part-time jobs. But even then, home found ways to drag me down. "Zoe, Daniel crashed his car and needs bail money." "Zoe, Ava's struggling with tuition." "Zoe, Noah's girlfriend is pregnant and he needs help with expenses." Every crisis became my emergency. Every poor decision by my siblings became my problem to solve. I started small, $500 here, $1,000 there. "I'll pay you back," they always promised. They never did. After graduation, I moved to Chicago and started working for a marketing firm. I lived in a studio apartment, ate ramen noodles, and sent half my paycheck home to keep my family afloat. "Zoe's doing so well," my mother would brag to the neighbors. "She's such a generous daughter." Generous, not successful. Not accomplished. Just generous with the money they assumed belonged to them. 2 years into my career, I launched my own digital marketing agency from my kitchen table. I had 1 client, no employees, and a credit card that was maxed out from family emergencies. But I had something more valuable than money. I had a vision. Within 6 months, I had 10 clients. Within a year, I had employees. Within 2 years, I was featured in Forbes as one of Chicago's 30 under 30 entrepreneurs to watch. My company, Brooks Digital Solutions, became the go-to agency for startups and small businesses looking to scale quickly. We specialized in turning small investments into massive returns, ironically, exactly what my family was doing with me. By age 26, my company was worth $2.3 million. I had a penthouse apartment, a luxury car, and more money than I'd ever dreamed of as that invisible teenager washing dishes at the diner. But success came with a price I hadn't anticipated. The more successful I became, the more my family needed. The amounts got bigger, the emergencies more frequent, the guilt trips more sophisticated. Your siblings look up to you so much, my father would say during our monthly calls. You're their inspiration. We're so proud of how you turned out. My mother would add. It makes us feel like we did something right. For the first time in my life, they were proud of me. They bragged about me to their friends. They included me in their conversations. They made me feel like I mattered. All it cost was everything I earned. By my 27th birthday, I was sending home $8,000 a month. Not loaning, sending, because loans implied they'd be paid back, and we all knew that wasn't happening. My siblings had transformed into completely different people on my payroll. Ava was now a lifestyle influencer with 50,000 Instagram followers, posting photos from expensive restaurants and designer boutiques. Her bio read, "Living my best life, blessed." She never mentioned that her best life was funded entirely by her sister's 80-hour work weeks. Daniel had started 3 different businesses: a food truck that failed in 6 months, a cryptocurrency trading scheme that lost everyone's money, and a dropshipping venture that never shipped anything. Each failure was followed by a request for more startup capital and a promise that this time will be different. Noah had parlayed his college football experience into a personal training business that existed mainly on paper. His actual income came from the monthly business loan I provided, which he spent on expensive gym equipment, protein supplements, and weekend trips with his rotating cast of girlfriends. My parents had quit their jobs entirely. Dad claimed he was consulting in construction, though I never saw evidence of any clients. Mom said she was writing a cookbook, though after 2 years no cookbook had materialized. What had materialized was a fully renovated kitchen, a new car, and expensive vacations funded by their eldest daughter's gratitude for everything they'd sacrificed. I was literally supporting 5 adults while building my company and trying to maintain some semblance of a personal life. But whenever doubt crept in, they had the perfect antidote. "We're so grateful for everything you do for us," Ava would say during our video calls, usually from some expensive location I'd inadvertently paid for. "You're the backbone of this family," Daniel would add. "We couldn't survive without you. I'm so proud to tell people that my daughter is a successful entrepreneur who never forgets where she came from," Mom would beam. They made me feel like a hero, like a provider, like the person who held everything together. I was addicted to being needed. Then one day, the phone call from Ava 6 weeks ago felt like a miracle. "Zoe, oh my God, I have the most amazing news." Her voice was more excited than I'd heard it in years. "We're throwing you a surprise homecoming party." Well, not surprise anymore since I'm terrible at keeping secrets, but still. Everyone's going to be there. All the cousins, aunts, and uncles. Everyone from the old neighborhood. It's going to be like a celebration of everything you've accomplished. My heart stopped. A party for me? A celebration of my accomplishments? Really? I whispered. Yes. Dad's been planning it for weeks. He's going all out, professional catering, live band, the whole 9 yards. He said after everything you've done for us, it's time we showed you how much we appreciate you. Tears filled my eyes. After 28 years of being invisible, they finally wanted to celebrate me. When? I asked. 3 weeks from Saturday. Can you come? Please say yes. Everyone's so excited to see the famous Zoe Brooks, successful entrepreneur. I'll be there, I said immediately. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Perfect? Oh, and Zoe, thank you for everything. We know how hard you work, and we know how much you've sacrificed for all of us. This party is our way of saying we don't Take you for granted. I hung up feeling like I was floating. Finally, I was going to be the guest of honor instead of the invisible financier. Finally, I was going to be celebrated instead of just useful. I spent the next 3 weeks excitedly planning my trip home. I bought a new dress, something worthy of being the center of attention for once. I prepared a speech, just in case they asked me to say something. I even looked at flights for my assistant to come with me, thinking maybe it was time my family met the people who'd become my chosen family in Chicago. The anticipation was intoxicating. For the first time in years, I felt like a daughter instead of a bank account. Coming home felt surreal. The neighborhood looked exactly the same, but everything felt different because I was different. I wasn't the invisible teenager sneaking out to work at the diner anymore. I was Zoe Brooks, successful entrepreneur returning home to be celebrated. Dad picked me up at the airport in a car I'd never seen before, a brand new BMW SUV with leather seats and all the luxury options. Nice ride, I commented as we pulled away from the terminal. Yeah, well, business has been good, he said vaguely. Your success inspired me to think bigger. The house had been transformed since my last visit. New landscaping, fresh paint, an addition that doubled the size of the kitchen. Everything looked professionally done and expensive. Wow, you guys have been busy, I said, genuinely impressed. Your mother's been on a renovation kick, Dad explained. She said if we're going to have the family success story visiting, the house should look the part. Inside was even more stunning. New furniture, hardwood floors, and massive flat-screen TV, artwork I recognized from expensive galleries. It looked like something out of a magazine. Mom greeted me with the biggest hug she'd given me since childhood. Zoe, my successful daughter. Look at you, so sophisticated, so accomplished. For the first time, her pride felt genuine instead of performative. Ava bounded down the stairs looking like she'd stepped off Instagram. Perfect hair, designer athleisure, expensive jewelry. The guest of honor has arrived. She squealed, hugging me tightly. Wait until you see what we've planned for tomorrow. You're going to die. Daniel emerged from the new home theater room, looking healthier and happier than I'd seen him in years. Zoe, the woman of the hour. Ready for the party of the century? Even Noah appeared, putting down his protein shake to give me an actual hug instead of his usual distant nod. Sis, you're going to love what Dad put together. This is going to be legendary. That night, lying in the guest room, my old bedroom, had been converted into Mom's craft room. I felt a warmth I hadn't experienced in years. They were excited about me, proud of me, happy to see me. Finally, I belonged. The morning of the party, the house was pure chaos, but happy chaos.
Caterers.
We're setting up in the backyard. A live band was doing sound checks. Florists were arranging elaborate centerpieces. This is incredible, I told Dad as I watched workers hang string lights across the entire yard. You really went all out. He beamed with pride. Nothing's too good for my daughter. After everything you've achieved, everything you've done for this family, you deserve to be celebrated properly. The guest list was enormous. Family members I hadn't seen in years, neighbors from childhood, even some of my old high school teachers. They'd invited everyone who'd ever known me. Everyone who could witness my transformation from invisible teenager to successful entrepreneur. I want everyone to see what you've become, Mom explained as she showed me the seating chart. I want them to see that we raised a daughter who conquered the world. The party started at 4 p.m. By 4:30, the backyard was packed with people, all there to celebrate me. It was everything I'd dreamed of and more. Uncle Jim, who'd barely acknowledged me as a kid, cornered me by the bar. Zoe, look at you. I always knew you'd make something of yourself. My third-grade teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, found me near the appetizer table. I still remember how hard you worked, even as a little girl. I'm so proud of what you've accomplished. Cousin after cousin, neighbor after neighbor, family friend after family friend, they all had the same message. They were proud of me. They'd always believed in me. They knew I was destined for greatness. For 3 hours, I was the center of attention, the success story, the family triumph. The girl who made it big and never forgot where she came from. Ava gave a speech about having the most inspiring big sister in the world. Daniel talked about how my work ethic motivated him to pursue his dreams. Noah thanked me for being the example of what's possible when you refuse to give up. Dad's speech was the longest, a rambling tribute to my daughter, the entrepreneur, who showed all of us what real success looks like. Mom cried actual tears when she talked about the daughter who never forgot her family, even after achieving everything we ever dreamed of. The photographer captured everything. Beautiful family portraits. Me surrounded by relatives, all of us laughing and embracing. The perfect documentation of the perfect celebration. As the sun set and the party wound down, I felt a deep sense of completion. This was what I've been working toward my entire life. Not just success, but recognition. Not just money, but love. Not just achievement, but belonging. I was finally home. I woke up Sunday morning feeling lighter than I had in years. The house was quiet, everyone sleeping off the celebration. I made coffee in the spectacular new kitchen and sat on the back patio, looking at the remnants of the party. Empty tables. Scattered decorations, champagne glasses still waiting to be collected. Evidence of the most beautiful night of my life. My phone buzzed, email notification. Without thinking, I opened it, expecting to see client messages or work updates. Instead, I saw an invoice. Brooks Family Celebration, Premium Event Package. $52,000. Payment processed via card ending in 4829. Thank you for choosing Premier Events for your special celebration. I stared at the screen. $52,000? Card ending in 4829? That was my business credit card. The one I used for client expenses and company purchases. My hands started shaking. I opened my banking app, praying this was some kind of mistake. The transaction was right there, yesterday's date. $52,000 charged to Premier Events and Catering, but I'd never authorized this charge. I'd never even heard of Premier Events and Catering. With growing dread, I scrolled through my recent transactions for the first time in months. Brooks Family Home Improvement, $18,000. Luxury auto lease, BMW $3,200 monthly. Designer fashion, Ava Brooks $4,500. Fitness equipment, Noah Brooks, $7,800. Investment capital Daniel Brooks LLC, $12,000. Transaction after transaction. Month after month, all charged to my business accounts. All authorized with my card information. All for my family's expenses while I worked 80-hour weeks in Chicago, believing I was generously supporting them with the money I willingly sent. They'd been stealing from me for years, while making me feel grateful for the privilege of supporting them. I sat in that kitchen for 2 hours, going through every transaction on every account. The pattern was clear once I started looking. I'd been sending them $8,000 a month voluntarily. But they'd been taking another $10,000, $15,000 monthly without my knowledge. Over 3 years, they'd stolen nearly $400,000, the party celebrating my success, paid for entirely with money they'd stolen from my business. The house renovations I'd admired, stolen money. The cars, the clothes, the vacations, the investments, the lifestyle that made them look like they were thriving. All funded by systematic theft from the daughter they claimed to love. But the financial theft was nothing compared to the emotional manipulation. Every "thank you" had been a lie. Every "we're so proud of you" had been performance. Every "we love you" had been payment for services rendered. They didn't love me. They loved my money. They didn't celebrate me. They celebrated their access to my bank accounts. They didn't want me home. They wanted their ATM to visit. The beautiful family photos from last night? Every smile was bought with money they'd stolen from me while I worked myself to exhaustion, believing I was helping people who loved me. I wasn't their daughter. I was their victim. I spent the rest of the morning gathering evidence. Screenshots of every unauthorized transaction. Copies of statements showing the systematic theft. Documentation of false charges and forged authorizations. By noon, I had a file thick enough to bury them. They started waking up around 1 p.m., all hungover, but happy from the party. Best night ever, Ava said, stumbling into the kitchen in designer pajamas I'd apparently bought without knowing it. Everyone's still talking about it on Instagram. Dad really outdid himself, Daniel added, grabbing orange juice from the fridge. That party was worth every penny. Every penny, I repeated quietly. Something in my tone made them all look at me. Speaking of pennies, I continued, placing my phone on the kitchen table with the Premier Events invoice displayed. Who wants to explain this $52,000 charge to my business credit card? The room went dead silent. Dad was the first to recover. Now Zoe, before you get upset. Upset? I cut him off. You think I'm upset about one charge? Let me show you what actually upsets me. I started reading from my phone. BMW lease payments, $3,200 monthly for 8 months. Home renovation costs, $47,000. Fashion purchases, $23,000. Investment. Capital, $85,000. Vacation expenses, $31,000. Should I continue? Mom's face had gone white. Zoe, we can explain. You've been stealing from me for 3 years, I said, my voice eerily calm. Nearly $400,000 in unauthorized charges while making me feel grateful for the privilege of supporting you. It's not stealing when it's family, Dad shouted, his face flushing red. Everything you have, we gave you. We raised you. We made you who you are. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You made me who I am. You ignored me my entire childhood. You forgot to pick me up from school. You spent my college fund on Daniel's car. You made me work 3 jobs while my siblings got everything handed to them. We were struggling then. Mom said desperately, "We're family. Family helps each other." Help? I stood up, pulling out printed bank statements. This isn't help. This is theft. Systematic, planned, deliberate theft. Ava started crying. Zoe, please, you don't understand. I understand perfectly, I cut her off. I understand that while I was working 16-hour days building a business, you were literally stealing money from that business to fund your Instagram lifestyle. You have plenty of money, Noah said quietly. It's not like you couldn't afford. That's not the point. I slammed my hand on the table. The point is you took it without asking. You lied to me. You manipulated me. We knew you'd say no if we asked, Daniel admitted, which was probably the most honest thing any of them had said in years. So you decided to just take it instead? We needed it more than you did, Dad said defensively. You're single, no. Kids, living in some fancy apartment. We have real responsibilities. I stared at him. Real responsibilities? I employ 15 people. I support their families. I have clients depending on me. I built something real while you've been playing. House with my money. This is ridiculous, Mom said, tears streaming down her face. You're our daughter. We love you. We just wanted to make you proud. Proud? I pulled out my phone again. You want to know what would make me proud? If you'd earned even $1 of the lifestyle you've been living. If you'd worked for anything instead of stealing everything. We worked hard to raise you, Dad screamed. You worked hard to ignore me, I screamed back. The only time you ever paid attention to me was when you needed money. Even this party, you didn't throw it because you love me. You threw it to keep me happy so I'd keep funding your lives. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Ava spoke, her voice small and broken. What are you going to do? I looked around the kitchen at these 4 people I'd spent my entire life trying to please. They looked scared now, desperate, like they finally understood that their golden goose was about to fly away. I'm going to do what I should have done years ago, I said quietly. I'm going to protect myself from the people who were supposed to protect me. I didn't say another word to any of them. I packed my bags, called an Uber, and went straight to the airport. On the flight back to Chicago, I made 3 phone calls. First, to my lawyer. I need you to file criminal charges for identity theft, credit card fraud, and embezzlement. I have documentation of nearly $400,000 in unauthorized transactions. Against whom? She asked. My family, second to my bank. I need to freeze all accounts and cards that have been compromised. I need new account numbers, new cards, new everything. And I need to dispute every unauthorized transaction from the past 3 years. That's a significant amount of money, Miss Brooks. This will trigger a federal investigation. Good. Third to my assistant. Cancel all automatic payments too. Anyone with the last name Brooks. Close any accounts they have access to. Change every password, every security question, everything. By the time I landed in Chicago, the wheels were already in motion. By Monday morning, all their accounts were frozen pending investigation. By Tuesday, federal agents were interviewing them about the fraudulent charges. By Wednesday, the house was in foreclosure because they couldn't make mortgage payments without my stolen money. By Friday, they were all facing criminal charges. My phone rang constantly. Voicemails full of tears, anger, and desperate bargaining. Zoe, please, we're family, Mom sobbed. You can't destroy us over money. You destroyed yourself, I said when I finally called her back. I just stopped enabling it. We'll pay back every penny, Dad promised in another call. Just drop the charges, please. With what money? I asked. You haven't earned $1 in 3 years. You've been living entirely off money you stole from me. We love you, Ava cried in her message. This will ruin our lives. You should have thought of that before you ruined mine, I replied. The family I'd spent 28 years trying to please turned on me with vicious efficiency. Suddenly, I was the villain. The ungrateful daughter who'd forgotten where she came from. The selfish sister who chose money over family. The heartless daughter who destroyed her parents' lives over a few thousand dollars. They really thought I was that stupid. The federal investigation revealed the full scope of their deception. It wasn't just unauthorized charges. They'd opened credit cards in my name. They'd forged my signature on loan applications. They'd used my business credit to purchase luxury items they immediately sold for cash. The party celebrating my success wasn't just paid for with my stolen money. It was literally a celebration of how successfully they'd been stealing from me. Every family member who attended had been unknowingly celebrating financial abuse. Every photo from that night was evidence of a crime. Every smile was funded by theft. The investigation also revealed something even more disturbing. They'd been planning this for years. Text messages between them discussed maximizing Zoe's earning potential and keeping her motivated to send money home. They deliberately kept me isolated, made me feel guilty for living far away, encouraged my workaholic tendencies, all to ensure the money kept flowing. I wasn't their daughter. I was their long-term financial strategy. The criminal trial took 8 months. During that time, I had to relive every moment of manipulation, every lie, every betrayal. My family hired lawyers who tried to paint me as the villain. The ungrateful daughter who'd forgotten her humble beginnings. The successful sister who'd become too good for her family. Their defense strategy was simple. Family loyalty meant I'd implicitly consented to their use of my money. The prosecution's case was even simpler. Theft is theft. Regardless of DNA, Dad got 3 years in federal prison for fraud and identity theft. Mom got 2 years probation and mandatory restitution. Ava, Daniel, and Noah each pled guilty to accessory charges in exchange for probation and community service. They were ordered to pay back every stolen dollar, plus interest, plus legal fees. It would take them the rest of their lives, assuming they ever got legitimate jobs. The house was sold to pay restitution. The cars were repossessed. The designer clothes, jewelry, and electronics were auctioned off. Everything they'd built with my stolen money vanished overnight. They were left with nothing but the debt they owed me and the criminal records that would follow them forever. 2 years later, I'm sitting in my new office. A real office, not just a kitchen table startup. Brooks Digital Solutions now employs 35 people and is valued at $8.7 million. I bought a house. Not a penthouse or a mansion, just a comfortable home where I host dinner parties for my real friends and colleagues. People who value me for who I am, not what I can provide. I'm engaged to Leo, my business partner and the first person who ever loved me without expecting a financial transaction in return. Last month, I started a nonprofit foundation that helps young entrepreneurs from dysfunctional families. We provide microloans, mentorship, and most importantly, therapy to help them recognize and escape financial abuse. Because I learned that family financial abuse is more common than anyone wants to admit. Parents who treat successful children as retirement plans. Siblings who see their accomplished brother or sister as a personal ATM. Relatives who manipulate love and loyalty to extract money and resources. It happened to me. It could happen to you. 6 months ago, I got a package in the mail. No return address, but I recognized Ava's handwriting. Inside were the photos from the reunion party. All those beautiful family moments. Everyone laughing, celebrating, posing for the perfect pictures. There was a note. I thought you might want these. I'm sorry for everything. You deserved a real family, not what we gave you. I looked through the photos one by one. We looked so happy, so loving, so perfect. But now I knew the truth behind every smile. Every laugh was funded by stolen money. Every hug came from people who saw me as a resource, not a person. Every I love you was really, I love your bank account. The last photo was a group shot. The whole family together, arms around each other, beaming at the camera. I looked at my own face in that photo. I looked genuinely happy, genuinely grateful to be there. Because I thought I was finally home. I thought I was finally loved. I thought I finally mattered to them as more than just a source of income. I was so naive, so desperate to belong that I ignored every red flag. But I'm not that person anymore. I spent 28 years trying to buy love from people who were never going to give it to me for free. Now I'm surrounded by people who love me without conditions, support me without expectations, and celebrate me without ulterior motives. That's the real success story. Not the money I earned or the company I built, but the family I chose, and the boundaries I learned to protect. If you're watching this and you recognize yourself in my story, if you're the family success story who everyone expects to fix their problems, the reliable one who never says no, the walking ATM who funds everyone else's dreams while sacrificing your own, please know that you deserve better.